Well, hello, hello, hello. You're not going to believe who I have here with me. The one, the only Bob Wells. Can you say hello to everyone, Bob?
Hi everyone! Look what the cat drug in, or vomited up.
Are you talking about me or you?
No, I'm talking about me.
Okay, just making sure. Well, hello, everyone. Oh, my goodness. Hello, Kapitsu. I can't say that, but hello. Hey, Nora from Arcoda 2001. Hey, Liza, Angel on a mission. Oh, my goodness, so many people. Van Girl, Cheryl, Adele. Hey, Lindy, my buddy Lindy is in the house, and Wanderlust or Bust. Oh, my goodness, one of the holy, my sister in love. I am not going to be able to say hello to everyone. I'm going to try and go in and out to say hi, but this is not something you get every day, Bob Wells, on your live. So I am going to make the most of it. Hey, Red, saying hello to me and Bob. Oh, my goodness. Well, Bob, what is happening? I caught him off guard there.
So much. I'm just living the life, living the dream.
You are living the dream. I mean, has it been crazy in courtside being so cool for so long?
Yeah, the cold. You mean how cold it's
Yes.
been? Yeah, it's been an really exceptional year in the desert. It's been cold a lot.
And people are staying here so much longer this year because of that.
Well, the rest of the country is colder.
Yes,
or
yes,
a lot of
yes.
it is. So yeah, it's cold as it is here. Where else are you going to go?
That's it. That's it. So anything special coming up on Cheap RV Living, or anything special going on with you that you want to tell people about, or any questions you have of Bob? This is the
Yes,
opportunity. Let's do questions about, he is the guru. In fact, it was because of Bob that I became involved in van life. I always wanted to travel in an RV, but I just never thought I'd ever be able to afford one. And then I looked onto YouTube and I looked up cheap RV because I thought, well, maybe I can find a cheap RV, and up popped Bob Wells. And it's history from there on out. I found out that you can convert an RV, and there was a whole community of people living in their vans, and it just opened up a whole new world for me. And I want to thank you for that.
my pleasure. I love hearing that. I can't hear that enough.
There are so many people that have that to say. Uh Red says it snowed again in Denver. So can you all hear us good? If you can hear us, do put a thumbs up so I know that you can hear us and that we're coming in loud and clear, because sometimes I don't have the mic. Oh, thank you, Red. One of my moderators put a link for Bob's channel. Thank you, thank you. And get those likes, get those thumbs up. What is your last video was about working? Can you tell us a little bit about that last video?
Right. It's gate guarding. I get that confused.
Okay.
It's gate guarding, and the majority of those jobs are couples in RVs, which is that limits our community. We tend to be single and not in RVs, but there are jobs for vans in gate guarding. What they'll do is there'll be a campground somewhere nearby, and they'll put you up in the campground, and you'll drive to the gate itself every however often you're working, usually daily. And so there are jobs for people in vans, although they tend to be couples in RVs. And I'm not sure I made that completely clear. I wanted to, but I'm not sure. And the majority of them are couples in RVs. So it's limited. It's a limited amount of jobs for the gate guarding for us in this community, single and vans. What a job that is going really super well. I did a video not too long ago on DigiKey up in.
Right.
I now know quite a few people that have done that, and they like it. It's a good job. I mean, you're on your feet, you're working, but that's why we call it work.
Yeah.
We don't call it fun. We call it work. And so it's work. But I know someone specifically who went up there, and they put him up in an apartment, and it's a nice little apartment. He has He shares the apartment with, it's 2 bedroom, and he shares the apartment with one other person. They each get their bedroom. They have a common area. It's a nice place, and I think, from what I can tell, they treat them well. I think right now the opportunity is at DigiKey. You can go back and look up that video. Do you remember the name of that video?
No, I'll look it up.
If you search on CheapRVliving for van life jobs, it'll be one of the ones that show up. And I think right now DigiKey is one of the best opportunities. They pay $20 an hour and overtime and all that.
That's, there are states that are still paying $7 and something an hour minimum wage.
Mhm.
So at $20 an hour,
Right.
well, it's actually more than $20 an hour, because it's $20 an hour and you get accommodations. So usually that's worth another $1,000 or so a month, because you don't have to pay. So you wouldn't have to pay electric, right? You don't have to pay water. You don't have to pay rent. So you're getting really,
Free.
it's way more than $20 an hour when you factor those things in.
Absolutely.
The name of the video is Van Life Jobs, $20 an hour plus housing.
So the name of the video is Van Life Jobs, $20 an hour plus housing. So that's the name of the video. If you do any kind of a search on that, it'll pop up. Yeah, DigiKey is a good one. And also, the beet harvest is still a good job. It's much more physically demanding, just because you're on your feet in bad weather. It's the bad weather that makes the beet harvest such a bad job. It's 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But in 3 weeks, you can walk away with $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in your pocket. And that's pretty unusual.
Traveling with the Graham Cracker says that Flagstaff is $16.50 or $16.80 an hour. So is that DigiKey at Flagstaff?
No, it's in Minnesota.
Oh, okay. So I wonder. Oh, Flagstaff. I guess.
Just telling you one of the states.
Okay.
A lot of states are going up
as far as minimum wage.
Mhm.
Okay.
California, all the 3 Pacific states are all well into the high teens, maybe at 20 already.
But I'm guessing where DigiKey it is, that's way above minimum wage.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. And all right, so you heard that. Go over and check that out. Can you give us the name of that again? It's
Van Life Jobs, $20 an hour plus housing is for DigiKey. And if they're interested in the beet harvest, Van Life Jobs, beet harvest.
Okay, well, they have on Bob's channel Van Life Jobs Beet Harvest and Van Life Jobs $20 an hour DigiKey. So if you're interested and you need a job, a lot of people do jobs for a short period of time that then finances the rest of their travel year.
Absolutely. Those two together, and it's the same people that hire for both. It's an employment agency there in South Dakota, maybe? I forget. It'll be on the video. Express Employment. They do the hiring for both, and they've set it up so that you can do DigiKey and then leave there and go directly into the beet harvest. And the good thing about that is you may have driven 1,000 miles to get to the beet harvest, and as good as the money is, that's a lot of gas to spend for a job. But if you do both together, you've driven all that distance, and then back probably, and you made a lot of money in a very short period of time.
And you can get at least $3,000 to $4,000 with the beet harvest or more if you stay there, plus the overtime, plus
completion bonus.
Yep. So if you do that plus DigiKey, when you leave there, you've got enough to last you probably the rest of till the next season.
Absolutely. A lot of us living on real low incomes absolutely could cover the whole year.
Yes.
That maybe 3 months.
So Red Headed Riding Hood dropped the link for Bob's videos. Thank you so much, Red. One of my great moderators. Adele saying hi to Colorado. And thank you, Van Girl. Sure. Thank you for the super sticker. Super whatever it is, super chat. Super chat. But thank you. I don't have my horn with me, but thank you. I just appreciate anything that anyone feels that I warrant that. That's just always surprises me, but I appreciate it. Van Girl Cheryl was saying that she found out about van life through you. And that's how she found it. And I bet there's so many people on here. Carla's saying she wants you to come to Alabama. Do you have any plans to ever go to Alabama?
No, I don't have plans.
No.
I like it out west. I'm not going to deny it. I've camped in Alabama. I've probably camped 2-3 nights, not much more. Alabama is very pretty. Alabama has some amazing national forests. Uh, I was really amazed at how pretty the national forests were. I actually lived for about a year and a half in North Carolina in Asheville, and so I would drive when I was going back and forth to the west to the north to North Carolina. I'd stop, always camp in the national forest in Alabama. Talladega, I believe it was the Talladega National Forest. It was really pretty, nice, really beautiful. Kind of rolling hills, beautiful trees. It's a really nice national forest there.
And with the America the Beautiful Pass, you can camp. I think it's at National Forest at Forestry Corps of Engineers, and you can camp. I think it's half off.
Yeah,
I did it in National Forest, Shasta Trinity National Forest. I camped there, dry camping for $7 a night with my America the Beautiful Pass. It's if you're a senior, it's $80 and it's for life. If you're not a senior, it's $80 for a year. But if you want to camp at different places like that, and I camped at Waco, Texas, right on the lake there, on Lake Waco or Waco Lake, for I think it was $12 a night with the discount, and it included hot showers, power, right on the lake. So that's a good thing to get.
I actually have mine with me.
Oh, okay.
Where's the camera at? Up here?
Yeah, right there.
And I'm not showing you my number.
Okay.
But that's a senior pass, $80, rest your life,
Yeah.
and it's half price camping. And a lot
Yes.
of places you can get into I think it's free in national parks just to get in camping.
Yeah,
still.
yeah, you can get in
It's-
for free in the
yeah.
national parks, and then you have to pay though if you want to camp. So now you had talked. Oh, Casey says any new developments with your channel, Bob? We would love to you and Carol to do something together.
That's good news because that's just what we're doing. I am such a fan of Carol. You guys are so wise to have subscribed to
you.
Carol.
Thank you.
I don't know anyone who has more of a caring heart for our community than Carol. I mean, that's just
appreciate
you've
that.
really come to the right place. And so, yeah, we are actually planning on doing things together.
I know someone who has more. You.
Maybe equal.
Okay. I cannot tell you how many people I run into who will tell me that they heard about van life and they've heard about all the things they could do through you. And then whenever I do a video on people who are looking for somewhere to stay or have low income, they said, well, you should have them reach out to Bob Wells. Go over to CheapRVliving or Howa. So have you heard about that? And I said, yeah, I've heard about it. So Kim Moore says, I'm trying to find a motorhome that's inexpensive. I'm on disability, so my income is limited. Well, what are some places that you think people can look for? Because it's hard to find them now that, I guess I hear some people say on Facebook Marketplace they found vehicles. I don't know.
I'm going to say something a lot of you aren't going to like. I would discourage anyone from buying an RV, a motorhome. I know that's we all want all the comfort and the room, but you self-confessed it's got to be low budget. They are such poor quality. I have known people who bought cheap ones. My friend Brian, who's on the channel, he bought a cheap one, and although he's put a new engine in it, and he might be putting another new engine in it, but that's just par for the course. It's a 1982 RV, but he hasn't had any other problem. So it's been a really, really good one. But there's just so much trouble, and I know you want all that space and comfort, but as the systems fail, and they're going to fail, you won't be able to. Can you afford to repair them? Can you do the work yourself? Can you afford a new fridge, which is $2,000? Can you afford to repair a propane line? Can you afford to have I know someone who bought not even an old RV, and literally one day she was camping and the black tank fell out.
Oh
I mean, the black tank just fell out. I would discourage anybody on a tight budget from buying an RV. I know you can buy a minivan, and I know how uncomfortable it is, but you can buy a minivan that will be reliable the rest of your life, just normal routine maintenance.
What about buying a used cargo van, and then putting it together yourself? Would you?
Great idea. I think
Okay.
the cargo van is a really, really good idea. they're just getting real expensive.
They are.
And cargo vans tend to have been worked hard and be problems. One of the very best things, I think probably the most comfort for the least amount of money and maximum reliability, is if you have a good, reliable car, buy something like a runaway trailer. Those are now, they keep going up. Everything's going up. I think they're like 5,000 now. And they're tiny. I mean, it's a coffin. It's 4x8.
It's called a runaway trailer.
That's the name.
Okay.
They're made in Florida. I know the people. I've got several videos on them.
Okay.
But it's a 4x8 trailer. You've got hard walls. Almost any car can pull them. They're so light, and you can carry your stuff in it, and you can sleep in the car, or vice versa. And it will, that's going to wear more wear and tear in your car. Pulling any trailer. So, RVs are just, so few people have success with buying old RVs. It's just, I know that's,
unless you're a mechanic.
And even then, but you can't afford the parts. I mean, a new fridge is that's why you buy it, is because of the fridge. A replacement fridge, a 3-way fridge, is $2,000.
Wow.
And sometimes they're tearing walls out to get them in and out. It's just the engine transmission is going to be more trouble. The brakes are going to be more trouble because it's this huge, enormous weight being carried around by a pickup. A good way to go is a pickup with a shell. There's a lot of pickups available.
Oh, yeah, pickup with a shell.
Again, this tiny amount of space, you're not very comfortable.
How about an ambulance?
Either if they're cheap, if you can afford an ambulance,
okay,
it's going to be older. It's going to have been used hard. The last thing anyone should buy, and this is going to make a lot of you angry, the last thing anyone should ever buy is a school bus. I know that's going to make a lot of you angry. I can't tell you how many people with school buses I know. I know someone who's just had some huge problems with their schoolie and is planning on walking away from it. Because
I know a couple of people with problems with schoolies.
It's just they're so expensive to repair. I know that's controversial. A lot of you aren't going to like that, but
well, you've literally talked to and met thousands of people, so you've heard you heard it here. So a minivan, maybe a small pull trailer, a cargo van if you can afford it and can outfit it yourself, are some of the best options. Adele has a question. If you have a question, put big Q or big in capital letters questions so we can ask Bob. Adele asks, what's a good state to begin looking for land? We've just been talking.
We've talked about that a lot.
Just
yes.
talked about it. The best bang for your buck. Any website that's good for searching. So what do you think are some of the best states for looking for inexpensive land?
There's so much give and take. Arizona has by far the most cheap, easy to buy land. And it has some land. One of the first things this is what we've talked about a lot, Carol and I, how you got to look at the county rules and regs, and will they come and pound on your door? And there are several counties in Arizona which are good about that, really good. There's several places in Arizona I do recommend. Apache County is the best. You're in the middle of nowhere.
It's right next to Sholo.
Right, Sholo in that area. Basically, from Sholo over to the New Mexico border is
inexpensive.
Apache County. There's a lot of really cheap land around. Sholo itself won't be cheap, but there'll be, and some of it might be. Most of it, when you think of Sholo, you think of the forest. Most of it will be down low that you can afford. Will not be in the forest. It'll be in high desert.
But one thing that you do need to note is you will almost certainly have to, for it to be affordable, have to have water delivered, because anything that has a well on it is going to be very expensive. Yeah. So that's one thing to consider.
Water is long-term the single biggest issue in our lives.
It is.
With the way the climate is going, water is going to become just an enormous issue. Too much water, too little water. Look at California. Huge drought, huge drought, biggest drought in 1,000 years, and then they're flooded and everybody's just washed away. So
sinkholes everywhere.
Yeah, sinkholes everywhere, mountain slides, houses going off into the ocean. So water, too much, too little, too much, too fast, is going to become a huge issue. So I wouldn't buy anywhere in the desert Southwest. You won't have anything to drink. I'm hoping that up near the northern part of Arizona will still be good because you get a lot of snowfall.
Are you talking about Flagstaff area? Or
yeah, there's a lot of land north of Flagstaff, and also I think of Sholo and as northern Arizona.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's up, anything that's up in the trees or in the areas around where it's up in the trees. I think of that as northern Arizona.
And considering we were talking about this too, considering going in with someone to buy a property, or
Yes.
a couple of people, 3 or 4 people, and then splitting it off, separating it off, is an option.
It's a great idea.
You know. Now, Travel Dreamer 46 says that she's thank you. Says she's glad to hear that we're collaborating, and she said she learned so much from you.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I can't hear it enough. People say I know you get tired of hearing this, but I don't. I don't get tired of hearing it.
Lava Lindy wants to know, how much water do you carry?
I don't carry a lot because I'm actually try to stay fairly near a town. I actually have probably 10 gallons on board now, and I do carry 5 gallons, so another 10. But I generally don't fill them because I'm right now, like I'm in Quartzsite, it's a mile trip into town, a water kiosk, and I just go into water, get my water there whenever I need to go in.
Plus, if you travel with lots and lots of water, you're getting less mileage.
Right. But if I'm going to be out for weeks at a time, which I do, especially in the summer, I do a lot of, then I will carry 20 gallons.
Okay. Angel on a Mission says RVs are so expensive and they're just rolling them out in any shape. Even the new ones. I went to look at, before I had my own van built out, I went and I looked at one. I won't say the name, but as I stepped into the RV and looked to the left, the wall, you could see behind the wall, there was absolutely no insulation. Then I opened one of the cabinets, and where the corners come, wires were sticking out. And then in the shower, there were wires sticking out. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So I mean, the quality, the quality control is just terrible. So if the quality control is that bad, what's the quality of the build?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I just don't. Unless you have the money to support it as it breaks, I don't recommend any of you buy RVs. It can be devastating financially.
Yeah, Traveling with Graham Cracker says, true statement, Bob, RVs are overrated. And Gale Resources says, Bob tells the truth, MHs are expensive for motorhomes are expensive for the most part. Yeah, they're and some of them now, I was looking, some of them, well, you can expect to pay well over $100,000 if you're getting a new one.
Absolutely.
Well over, and even the used ones now with just like minivans, with the new ones getting so high, it's boosted the price of the minivans.
Right. Yeah, and then with COVID, then the cost of everything used exploded. I think it's dropping now. They haven't really kept up with the market, but so it's better. Now, a really good compromise is a cargo trailer. If you have the vehicle that will tow it,
and a horse trailer.
A horse trailer, because if you can find one used, often they're cost as much used. They really hold their value, which is why you want one.
Oh, okay, but they're almost as much, you think?
Sometimes they're as much, but then everything's going up, and maybe you can get a good deal on a used one. But even if you can't, $5,000 will buy you a 6x12 trailer, probably either new or used, and that's pretty darn comfortable. And you have to do the build, but you can do a no-build build. You can bring in furniture, just bring in a desk and bring in a dresser. I know a guy who found some dressers and put them on one side of his trailer, and then just put a piece of plywood and screwed it in. That was his bed, because you could stand in them anyway. And so that became his bed, and he had all these drawers and dressers underneath it. He just found two of the same one. So you can get into a cargo trailer really cheap, and then you'll have to put mounting points and anchor it. But really cheap, you can get into a cargo trailer and make it surprisingly comfortable. I know a guy who put in didn't even put it in a bed. He put in a recliner. It's a big open space. He brought in a recliner. He loves sleeping in recliners.
My dad sleep in the living room in his recliner.
Yeah, I love recliners.
But it's the cargo trailer. You've done some tours on cargo trailer.
I lived in a trailer for almost 5 years. Yeah.
Wow. And as you get older, being able to stand up really makes a difference. And so the cargo trailers you can stand up in, and that's really one of the nice things.
And the low step in. That's a pretty big deal too.
It is. It is. Keeping Up with Colorado says, thanks for the school bus information. I really wanted one, and you just gave me the information I needed about the expensive repairs. Thank you. Because when you don't know these things, you go in, you don't know, and then boom, you're hit with that, and it's too late once you've got it.
At face value, it looks like a school bus is the very best thing. You get all this room. You can buy them. You can buy a used school bus for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and they're almost 40 feet long. They're huge. But man, the tires and wheels are truck tires and wheels, and they're going to cost you truck tire and wheels. You got to go through them. There's 6 of them, and every repair on that engine, every maintenance act, anything that would cost you $100 or $200 in a van is going to cost you $300, $400, $500. You got to do regular maintenance, or they'll die. And then if you need a repair, and you will need repairs, we buy diesels thinking that the core of the engine will last 1,000,000 miles, and that's probably true. The core of the engine will, but around that engine are all kinds of things, and they won't last any longer than your truck or your van. And when they fail, they'll cost triple. So
plus diesel gas used to be less expensive. I don't know what happened, but now diesel is more expensive than regular gas.
Yeah, that's yeah, I just don't I don't think anyone should buy a school bus. I'm sorry.
Let me move this out of the way. So Gale Resources says, how do you have any type of cooling in Arizona? Solar can't.
No, I do the solar cooling the old-fashioned way. I put my key in the ignition and I turn it and I drive away.
You follow the weather.
You follow the weather.
Yeah.
Like the snowbirds.
Yeah. Wanderluster or Bus says, I'm looking for land in Arizona in Apache County, but can't get anyone to respond to my inquiry or calls. I'm still in Maryland and won't drive out unless I connect with the seller. Frustrating. Are you only contacting sellers, or have you contacted real estate agents? Because I have been looking in that area and I have gotten callbacks from agents, but if you're trying to go through a seller, sometimes that's the best way to be able to afford, because if they will carry the note, because it depends on what your finances are. And I've just hearing recently, with everything happening with all these bank debacles, that credit is being tightened down, that it's going to be harder and harder to get credit now, that they're really tightening the requirements because of what's been happening with the bank closures.
Right, and interest rates are going up, of course. So, that's going to make it more expensive to do it. And if they're carrying the note, they can charge almost anything they want. With interest going up, it could get expensive. Someone asked this earlier, and I forgot to answer it. One of the websites I like the most to search for land is called land.com. Is that right? Land.com? I'm almost certain it is. I subscribe. You can subscribe, and they'll send you out notices of all the new land as it comes up.
Is it land search or land.com?
My memory is land.com.
Okay.
If somebody could look into that.
Okay.
But that's my favorite tool to find land. It's you can put in raw land, and that will eliminate all the houses, because you got to eliminate the houses. We're not looking for houses.
Right.
And you can put it by county in the state. So I have it set up for Apache County and Coconino County. That's where I was looking. And so they will just they'll send you out every time something new is added, and a lot of it is they'll carry the note. But oddly enough, like you, they'll on every piece of land they'll have a little thing you can fill out and ask the seller a question, and it will contact usually the realtor. Land.com.
Land.com. Okay.
Yep. And they would rarely answer. It's really strange. That's exactly your question, and that was my experience as well. I think the key thing is to call the phone number. And I'm something about phones. I hate calling on the phone, but that's the only way I could get anybody to talk to me, was actually call them on the phone and keep calling and leave messages. And, weird, they run these ads and then they don't answer. So
that is strange.
It is. But I have had that exact problem, so I know you're right.
CTV says, what about buying a U-Haul box truck? It seems like the engine would be the only thing to give problems, or am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. A lot of it with RVs is we buy the RVs because of the
amenities.
comfort systems, and they're all old. And, they fail and break. They just get old and wear out. So you buy it for the comfort, and then it fails. Uh, yes, I would say a U-Haul truck would be a better choice, mostly because it depends on the size. So if it's a regular Ford or Chevy engine that you might have in a pickup, then that's easy to get repaired. There's used ones in every junkyard. Uh, if you just got a 350 Chevy or a 351 Ford, man, they're everywhere. Everybody can work on them. But if you get one of these new exotic engines, especially what's in diesels, they're new and exotic, and the new emissions on diesels are just clobbering diesels, just making them incredibly hard to work on. They're very high-tech engines now. You got to really know what you're doing now to work on a diesel. Not many people do, these new engines. So, but you got an old 350 or even the new LS series on the Chevy, the 5.3, the 6-liter. Those are fantastic engines. And the new Chevy, Ford went to like the 5.4. And other than the spark plug issues on the 5.4, that's a good solid engine. But you're going to find junk. You're going to find new ones, used ones in the junkyard. You're going to get parts everywhere. Anyone can fix them. That's what you're looking for, a universal engine. Anyone can fix anywhere. And you're not going to get that in the schoolies because they're all industrial engines.
Yeah, that's really important to find. If you're not a mechanic and have the ability, you really need a vehicle that if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you need a vehicle that anyone can work on if you have a mechanical problem. You don't want to have something that's so sophisticated or so complicated that you have to have a unique, specially trained person. And that's going to cost you an arm and a leg because they know that they can charge you that because there's no one else to work on it. Yeah. Traveling with the Graham Cracker says Cochise and Apache County have opt-out programs. Coconino has a lot of restrictions. Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Coconino is really one of the most restricted. Cochise, which is southeast Arizona Tombstone, if you buy a 5-acre piece, you can opt out of permits, and that's the way it works. And that is but it's got to be 5 acres or more, which is easy to find down there. Cochise, that's very good.
Now, who is it? Oh, Liza Beckerman says you also have a class on Skillshare.
I do.
Thank you. What is the class on Skillshare?
It's a very basic intro. If you want to, everything I have is available for free. Everything I know is available for free, either on my website, CheapRVliving.com, or the YouTube channel. But it's not all in one place. You're going to have to go and watch this video, read that, and watch this video. So I made a class on Skillshare and Udemy, and it's all in one place. So you're going to have to subscribe to Skillshare, see it, but then it opens up hundreds of thousands of classes, some really, really good classes. Right, the name of it is The Ultimate Crash Course to Living on the Road. And so it's all in one spot. And that's the reason why I didn't feel too bad about charging for it, because you can find it all on my website and YouTube channel, but it's all in one spot.
People charge $1,000 or more to do classes on different things, So I'm sure you didn't charge $1,000. So
no, I don't actually. Do I charge anything on Skillshare?
But then I think that is a subscription. But on Udemy, I think it's like $15.99 just for the course.
Wow. So
I think on Skillshare, once you subscribe, you can watch everything.
Yes.
And
thousands.
Right.
Which
is really, that's pretty amazing.
That is. I tell you what, the knowledge that he has alone would be worth, especially if you're starting out, because do you get a lot of people in their 70s, late 60s and 70s saying that they're looking to start into this lifestyle?
Yeah, it's a lot of us are on fixed income, Social Security. If you're 70, unless pensions are disappearing, more and more people will retire without anything. Without anything.
Yeah.
And Social Security will be all you have, and it's really hard to live on Social Security anymore. We are a high rent, low wage nation, and it's hard to live on Social Security. So if you could be 65, 70, 80, and you can't live on your Social Security. You can't. Rents have gone outrageous.
Yes,
And
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah, and in some places they're incredibly ridiculous.
$3,000 for a studio in some places.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not all that unusual. I mean, it's not common, but
And that's not that much bigger than a cargo van.
it
Some of
is.
these places,
Yeah,
if you look in New York, I mean, they're the size of like a tiny closet. Some of these places.
yeah. You can rent a room for 1,000.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
you can. I think you can be that comfortable in a van, and you own it outright. And you're not paying every month. You're paying yourself, and not a landlord. So I think that's what's going on, and I think it'll happen more and more. And as the climate gets more and more unpredictable, look at all the storms, different kinds of storms, and as so it's going to get worse and worse. Price of housing is going to keep going up really dramatically, and our incomes aren't.
Well, look at the price of the materials that go into the housing.
Right.
How dramatically, I mean, a sheet of plywood has what, doubled or tripled or quadrupled?
For a while there, it was over double. Yeah.
So of course how that's going to impact the cost
Right.
of housing. Well, who is it here that said, oh, my cargo, Lava Lendy said, my cargo van is the best investment I've ever made. I love my van. I love my van. I mean, you can't beat it. You really can't.
To me, no matter what happens in life, I have a place to live. I know how to live in it.
Mhm.
I can be reasonably comfortable in it. If there's some kind of natural disaster here, then I can get in it and go somewhere better. And if there's no jobs here, if I just have to have a job, I can go somewhere where there is a job, and I have a home with me, and I'll never be homeless. So to me, that security is priceless, just in itself.
Catherine Firestone is asking a question. This is going to be a tough one, Bob.
Oh,
She's saying, "Hi, Bob and Glow. Where can you buy used minivans?"
Well, used minivans are common everywhere, as far as I know.
Oh, are they?
Oh yeah, minivans are. Well, during COVID, finding any used vehicle got really hard, and so they were very, very expensive. But I think that's
Settling
I
down?
don't know. I think they're much better.
Okay.
I think minivans are commonly available pretty easily now.
Okay. Donna Flynn, voice, functional breathing, and coach says, I bought a cargo van at the end of last year. Since then, I've been to both RTRs, met more community at the past RTR meetups, and I'm now working digitally while I travel in my van. So, I mean, now I think more than any other time in history, you have the opportunity to work remotely.
Yes.
It's never been like this. So you're no longer tied, and the pandemic even gave it another boost in the arm.
Right.
Working remotely.
I think that's going to be the only good thing that comes out of it is all the extra
Yeah.
remote work that's
Yeah.
coming out of it.
Exactly. I'm looking here at.
But yeah, it's just one of the reasons I recommend minivans is if you don't go on the road and not sure that you want to do it, and maybe you decide I like traveling but I want to do it full time. Well, you can then go back to work. You can go back to work anywhere. There's jobs all over the country right now. And you don't mind driving a minivan as a daily driver.
Right.
Because you're getting 20, 25 miles to the gallon.
Exactly.
And it's normal. It's a normal vehicle. That's the huge advantage to a minivan. And I know people that do this. They have no builds. They can just put everything in. It's all plastic and cots. And they can take it all out, put the seats up, and it's a minivan. And so they have a normal daily driver. And then they'll go take a 2-month trip and work digitally. And so they have the best of both worlds. I think finding the best of both worlds is really a wonderful idea for a lot of us.
Now, Carla says, do you recommend for a cargo van the mid or high ceiling?
Well, that would be one of the new European vans. That would be to have a high ceiling from the factory. That's either a Sprinter, a Transit, or a ProMaster. I would get a high. It's up to you. I mean, if I were 5'2", then no, the medium or the low even might work if I were 5'2", if I were 6'4", well, obviously I'd have to have the tallest one. I'd say go get in one and see what you can live with, and whatever you're most comfortable with, then go with that.
Nomad Man says, I have a mini bus Chevy 6.0 gas. I don't know what that is, but it's great. But I had a lot of problems with the bus AC and electrical shorted relay fire that burned up some wiring. Yipes, that sounds.
Yeah, that particular engine, the Chevy 6 liters, is a fantastically good engine, but you've got everything else around it, and everything else around it's going to need more work, and because it's non-standard, it's harder to get work done, because in a bus and a shuttle, there's all these extra wiring harness that came with the box. So that's what's called a cutaway. So when Chevy or Ford when somebody makes an ambulance or a shuttle bus or an RV, they sell a frame and a cab, and then with the hole at the back, and then from the rest of that, another manufacturer makes. Well, and they have to tie together. All those electrical systems then have to connect together. So you take it somewhere, and no one knows which part. You got an electrical problem. You don't know if it's the cab, which came from Chevy or Ford or Dodge, or you don't know, or Sprinter. You don't know anything about this box that somebody else put on it in those cutaways. So, yeah, you're going to have more problems with any cutaway than Ford or Chevy or any.
Yeah, I know you talked about adding the top from Fibrine, and I've heard some really good things. I have a friend who had Fibrine do a top to her cargo van, and she's really happy with it.
They're good people. They're really good people. They stand by their product. You have a problem, they will fix it. Period. And they rarely have problems. They're very expensive.
Yeah, they are expensive.
They're just really expensive.
You could buy them, probably a used minivan for what you would pay for the top almost.
You absolutely could.
Because they're about $8,000, I think now, something like that.
Yeah, they've probably gone up.
Six to eight. She paid, I think, 6 to 8, somewhere around that range. Yeah.
Well, if you buy all the options, they have a bunch of options. You
windows and
windows,
all. Yeah.
And they will put in boards. So if you want to mount things on the roof, they'll put in boards.
Oh yeah.
That you can actually
support,
screw into and support. And you want to put cabinets on it, they'll fiberglass in the wood. It'll be part of the fiberglass, so it'll be strong, incredibly strong. But yeah, every extra. Oh, they'll put in fans. They'll put in vents.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're really expensive, and they make on probably their future with the high top European vans. Their future may be in minivans. They have like a foot high or 2 foot high tops they'll put on a minivan. That's a pretty good way to go if you can afford it.
Yeah. Nifty Traveler says, I've been thinking about getting a Class B RV. I will be using my equity for my condo when I sell it. I'll still need to finance probably around $40,000, but I do have stable fixed income. Question is if you can get, one that was really, really well built, and I don't know, and that's been really, really taken care of. It's kind of like a roll of the dice.
It is. Yeah, it really is. I'm a fan of Class Bs, or I was. I'm not some of you may be aware, I'm not a huge fan of the new European vans. I don't base that on any real facts, just a distrust of something new. They all have very small engines to get better gas mileage, that they're pumping a lot of horsepower out. It's an idea I don't like. I like the good old American V8s. That's just a prejudice. Understand that. That is a prejudice.
Just a vanilla package that you can take anywhere,
Although I'll just say this: the Chevy, you go buy a Chevy Express, that's the best drivetrain you can buy on the market today. Gas.
The Chevy Express.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. It will last you a very, very long time. I would say it's going to be more reliable and trouble-free over the long haul than any other van you can buy.
Now, what kind of mileage would that get?
Not very good. Depends on the weight, how much, and that's another thing about the Class Bs. They're all very, very heavy. The engine will work much harder, and if it's one of these small turbo engines, it's going to work really hard, and I'm afraid they're going to work themselves to death. That's my big fear with the Class Bs, these new modern. So if it's an old V8, it's not going to work itself to death. It's just a big engine. So,
with gas prices.
but yeah, with a Class B, you'd be getting 12 to 16 with an old V8. With a new one, you might. How much do you get on yours?
I get in the city not hardly anything. I get about 13 around
Right.
town. On the freeway, on the highway though, I get about 18.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I found. The speed that I travel at
Everything.
has a huge impact on my gas mileage. If I keep it like at 55, which feels like I'm creeping,
Yeah.
I get amazing gas mileage.
Yeah.
But I mean, so if I have plenty of time to get where I'm going.
It gets some good mileage.
Yeah. So, Ginger McIntosh says, I travel in my car, Prius 5 or V, either V or 5, I'm not sure, because I couldn't afford a Sienna hybrid. Now I'm thinking of adding a small cargo trailer. I have to use oxygen so I can leave the Prius running at night while I sleep. Yeah, it's such an individual thing, isn't it? Based on what your needs are, if you have to have, your engine running for oxygen. Or although, couldn't she get a small little generator, a lithium like power station and do that with?
Well, let's have a conversation about the Prius. First off, I love the Prius. It's one of the best vehicles ever made. Right from the factory, from the first day they introduced them, they've been fantastic. They are fantastic. However, I would never tow anything with the Prius. It's just they don't have the horsepower. They can't pull the weight. They're not designed for that at all. Again, there is no one who's a bigger fan of the Prius than I am. A fantastic car. But no, that you don't want to do not tow a trailer with it. That's only going to lead to disaster. Now, on the other hand, if you can afford it, and it's going to be very, very expensive, if you can afford it, the Highlander, they've got a Highlander, Toyota makes a Highlander hybrid, and they're designed to tow. You can tow easily with it. I know, but they don't get nearly the gas mileage either. I think that what happens with the Highlander is they actually have two electric motors, one that will drive the front tires and the one that will drive the rear tires, and they're designed to tow, and you can tow. So, but the Highlander is very sought after for that reason. It's one of the few hybrids that can tow really well. It's designed to tow. So if you could find that, then I would recommend towing with it.
Now, what about the Sienna hybrid? Do you like those?
Yeah, the Sienna is a great one. To be honest with you, I don't know much about the Sienna. They make great minivans, but as far as the hybrid,
I mean, the minivan. What do you?
Oh yeah, they're great. Yeah, the Toyota, Honda, they're just going to be better.
Okay, all right. Again, Catherine's asking, Firestone, where can you find a good minivan? You just have to look in all the, I guess, in the trader, the different car traders. Here's what I think is a good way to find. I haven't purchased a vehicle like this, but I've heard that military bases, when people are shipping overseas and they're trying to sell their vehicles, that often you can find a good vehicle that they don't want to bring with them. They don't want to have it shipped. So that might be a way to check, military bases and see if anyone is shipping out and selling a vehicle.
Very good idea.
But Angel's on. I'm sorry.
I'd say don't be afraid to go to used car dealers. Some people just say don't ever go to a used car dealer. But I've gotten a couple of great vehicles from a used car dealer. Here's the thing about buying any used vehicle: don't trust anything anybody says to you. Don't trust anybody. Go to a good mechanic, preferably a mechanic that you know and have used before, and you have good rapport with and trust. And spend $100, $150 and have him inspect the vehicle. That's the only way you're going to know if it's a good vehicle or not. I was looking for years. This was many decades ago. I was out to buy a new to me used four-wheel drive pickup, and I wanted a 4-speed, and they're rare to find. And I never did find one that was in good shape. They were all contractor rigs, 3/4 ton 4 speeds. They're all contractor rigs, so they won't get to that. But I took in like 5 rigs to a mechanic, and he said, "Boy, these are all crap. Don't buy these." And then from a used car dealer, and I didn't have a lot of money at the time, and it was one of these buy here, pay here. People badmouth those, but I had great luck. And maybe they're all different. I don't know. They're regulated. They can't just cheat people. But so I had $3,000 cash, and it was a $4,500 truck. And I put down the $3,000, and took it to a mechanic. He said, "This is a fantastic truck. There's nothing wrong with this. This will run forever." It was an old Ford 150 4x4, and he said I'd buy this in a heartbeat. And so I bought it, and so I financed $1,500 there. Made the payments every month, and after however long it was, a month, maybe a year, I paid it off. And I drove that truck for another 100 miles.
Wow.
And it was trouble-free the entire time. The first time I bought it with 130,000 miles. The first time I had trouble was, I think, at 110 when I had to put in an alternator. And then maybe at 120 I needed the starter. But that's just the normal. No, at 200. I'm sorry. 210, then at 220. But that's normal. Things don't last over 200,000 miles. Those outward parts. The engine was solid until the day I sold it. So don't discount, to my mind, don't discount used car dealers, because you're going to find a lot of them at used car dealers. No, you're going to pay a little more, and always get it checked out. Don't buy anything until a mechanic's looked at it, unless you are a mechanic. And I think you're pretty safe that way, and that's where you're going to find a lot more of them than anywhere else, is on used car lots.
Now, what do you think about extended warranties for vehicles?
Don't buy an extended warranty. That's just my personal opinion. Might be a bad opinion, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Now, Wander Lusterbus says, brokenhearted, I rig up my hammock using my kayak window hooks in my SUV, so comfortable and quick. I know CheapRVliving has, I think, done that too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people use hammocks, and they say they're very comfortable.
Yeah.
And you can build all around them. You have lots of room because of that.
I've known a couple of people with minivans that set up hammocks, and that's how they slept every night of their lives. They slept in a hammock in their minivan. That's a really good way to go. Oh, and that reminds me of something else. Something to look for is SUVs. SUVs aren't terribly comfortable because they're small, and they're not, the roof isn't usually very tall.
Right, same often slanted.
Yeah, and sometimes the floor is a mess, and it's hard to get them flat and comfortable. But SUVs can be a good source, great reliability, great stealth. No one would think someone's living in there. And I particularly like the Chevy SUVs because I love the Chevy drivetrains. So a Tahoe or Suburban.
Oh, okay.
Particularly the Chevy Suburban is an exceptional vehicle, really exceptional.
Isn't that what, like, the special agents,
yes,
Secret Service use? They all have all those Suburbans.
They're all doing Suburbans because they can handle weight. They're big enough. They're comfortable enough. And that Chevy drivetrain is just the best on the market as far as I'm concerned. Again, always have it checked out by a mechanic. But I would, and there's still quite a lot of them around. They're expensive. Everything's expensive now. But I'd consider a Tahoe or the old Ford Expedition, or there's another E that they have. Explorer. Oh, that's the mini one. Yeah. That's a good rig. They're comfortable.
My brother had one of those, and it lasted forever.
Very good rig.
Forever.
And don't discount SUV either.
We're getting a lot of wind here, so we're going to be wrapping up shortly. Adventurous Spirit 66 Pam says she's a little late, wanted to know what he's recommended for nomads to purchase. We went over minivans and cargo trailers were some of the things that were recommended by Bob.
But don't discount other things, because vans have come. Everybody wants a van to live in it, so they're expensive. And I think that may happen more and more to minivans. And then I would say pick up with a cargo trailer is your next choice. You have a huge space behind in the bed of the pickup, and then even one of the little mini pickups, a Ford Ranger. There's some really good Ford Rangers out there. That'll pull a cargo trailer, a huge amount of space in the cargo trailer. Don't discount SUVs, particularly like
We'll get it later.
I particularly like the Chevy Tahoe Suburban, but Ford Expedition is a great one. The other big one from Ford's a great one. Really great rigs.
Now, Mark Kimmerling said he looked on one of the links, but he doesn't want 37 acres. So some of them are large, but there are smaller ones there. There are smaller ones with only a couple of acres. Also, traveling with a graham cracker bought something on a tax lien, and those are available. You have to, be at the right place at the right time, but that's another option out there. Well,
call the county assessor or whoever's in charge of land and ask them because it's different. Every county has different rules, but every county has a list of people that are behind on taxes, and at certain times of the year they'll put them all up for auction, and you can get some incredible deals.
Yeah, you can.
But you got to know the ins and the outs, and the ins and the outs are always different for every county. So just call the county assessor, tell them you'd like to buy a piece of land that's going up for auction literally, it will be just for past taxes due. And that's the best way you can get land, because it might be $500, $1,000 for an expensive piece of land.
Like you said, know the ins and outs, because
Sorry.
some states, once they put it up, that's it. Once you buy it, you own it. Other states, the person has a certain amount of time to buy it back. And so if you're in that kind of state, you don't want to put all kinds of things up on it and build, and then they reclaim it. But you get interest on the money that you spent. But so do make sure whether it's a state where you own it outright or whether
Right.
the owner has the right to reclaim it,
I know of one county where if you pay for it, basically it becomes a lien. Now, he still owns the land, but you now have a lien on the land. And after a certain amount of time, and it's a pretty long time, a year or two, after 3 years, and he hasn't paid back the lien because you basically loaned him the money for the taxes, is what they count it as. Then it goes to you. Then you own it, and you have to go through the foreclosure process, which is probably a process too. So that's the ins and outs. However, if you have the time and the energy to do all the research and learn all that and go through the rigmarole, wow,
you get some great properties.
You really can.
And the properties in the cities tend to be very expensive, but not as many people are looking for the properties that are more remote.
Right. The more remote, the cheaper it'll be.
Yeah. Well, Graham says Graham's one of the OGs on here. He said he told his joke before and it didn't get, so I'm going to go through and tell his joke again. All right, Graham, this is just for you. My bride bought me a new puzzle. I was so proud of myself for completing it in one day, as it said on the box, 2 to 4 years.
That is a good one.
Okay, Graham. Graham is always, he's our jokester on here.
That's a good one, Graham.
All right. Well,
done good.
But we're going to be closing out the wind. Someone said we're having a little problem with the audio, and I can understand that with the wind. And hello, Chef Santa is in the house. Hey, Chef Santa Travels. So good. I hope you're doing well and going to be getting on the road soon.
Chef Santa, do you have a long white beard? Have you ever seen the picture?
I'm not sure. I think Chef Santa did. Do you still have a white beard, Chef Santa? Well, we're going to be, Graham says, currently at Talladega Showgrounds. Graham's in Australia.
Oh.
So, all right. Yeah, wind is really loud. All right. Well, we're going to be getting off of Insectosaurus van life. Says best Bob Wells advice I ever heard was park in the shade with duplex cable extension cables for your solar. Okay, that sounds like great advice. So the wind noise hard to hear. So we're going to be heading out of here, and I usually do have everyone do a 1 if you're new in the chat. So if you're new, could you give me a number 1 so I can acknowledge you're new here in the chat, because you know, Globies, how we like to do, how we roll. We like to welcome everyone to our Glow family. So if this is your first time joining us in the chat, would you put a number 1 so we can greet you, because we're getting ready to book on out of here. Bob, thank you so much for
My
coming.
pleasure.
I just appreciate it so much. Great answers, great questions, and
You got a great audience.
wonderful. I think this is one, other than yours, one of the best audiences on YouTube. Go over and check out. I'm going to take this off of here, and I'm going to unplug us from here. I think we'll do better without these mics right now, but go over and check out CheapRVliving. I'm telling you, there's so much variety on there, from tours, from products that are great for RV and van life, for nomad living, information, inspirational, motivational, just something for everyone. So do go out and check out CheapRVliving. Casey says, does Bob have any books now or new ones? Do you have any?
I do. I still have a book. I think I wrote it 10 years ago, but it's still pretty current. I'm working on updating it right now.
Okay.
It's how to live in a van or RV. What is it? How to live in a car, van, or RV? Van, car, or RV.
All right. So how to live in a van, car, or RV. If you're new to this, you want to learn some of the tips and how to do this. And, it's, I think, starting out with the information, the right information to begin with, makes the experience so much different. And it just makes it so much better than 6 months later finding out, oh, I could have been doing this for 6 months. So go check out How to Live in a Van, Car, or RV
on Amazon.
Okay.
Both Kindle and paperback.
Okay. So
the Kindle's only $2.99. You got nothing to lose.
You can't beat that. You can turn in some cans. Redeem some cans and pay for that. All right. Well, Bob, thank you again. We've got some things coming up. Bob's going to be making some announcements on his channel. We are going to be doing some collabs, but I'll let Bob give you the details of all of that. Love you all. May your journey be filled with joy and blessings, and I will see you next week. Oh, an interview with Bob aired this morning, and he talks about land and, the value of having land. And just go check it out, and then go check out on Bob's channel his latest video and prior ones, but the one talking about gate guarding and how to get work as a nomad. All right.
Well, let me throw in one more thing.
Okay.
I meant to throw it in earlier and I forgot to. If you do check out the Beet Harvest or DigiKey, tell them I sent you. They send me money if you tell them.
If you check them out, by all means, tell them. So, and you know how Bob does so much for this community. It just helps him to do more for this community.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys later. Bye. I'm going to try and sign out. You guys know how sometimes I sign out and I'm still on here an hour later.
It's hard.
All right. See, trying to end the broadcast. Okay.